Hey enthusiasts, it's me, AlvinMunk. Welcome to this very special interview of Inky News with Joe J. Thomas, the
Hey,
voice of Bertram Piedmont,
hi
and
everyone.
Angus Newman. So how are you, Joe?
Uh, it's a pretty good day here. Nice and sunny out, a little crisp. How about you? How is it where you're at?
Pretty good as well. It's pretty cold, but like other than that, it's good. Staying warm, nice and cozy.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna jump right into the questions for you. All right.
Oh, we got a
Okay.
freeze. There
Yes.
we go.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good. Little glitch.
Okay. So I'm gonna jump right into the questions.
Sure.
Let's see this. All right. Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself before you got into voice acting or
Well,
acting in general?
I
Sorry.
I led a I led a double life for years. So I did computer programming during the day, and then at night I did theater productions, musicals, improv, comedy, anything. I did that for probably like 25 years. I'm not that old. Uh, uh, but but I did that for a while, and then my day job laid me off, and I was out in LA with my wife, and she said, "You know, you've been doing acting on the side for so long, so why don't you switch? But don't do on camera acting." Which I'm like, "Okay, do I look that bad?" And she said, "No." She thought I had more potential with my voice because I don't have to sound anything like what I look like. So
Hmm.
so that's when I switched over. That was 2006. I've been doing this since. So
Oh, nice. So, next question is actually I can skip this one because actually I'll ask anyway.
okay.
Because it's kind of different. At what age did you discover your passion for voice acting or acting in general?
Oh, actually, I started in like high school. So maybe like 15, 16. I did theater in the school I was in did like 3 productions a year, which is a lot for high school. And the first one I was in, I was cast as Van Helsing in Dracula. So I I went to like makeup and they put a fake beard on me and I actually had to walk home in this fake beard because it was drying, the latex was drying or something. And so my family was like, "What the hell is he doing now?" Um, but yeah, it started pretty young. I know there's people who start even earlier than that, but for me it was like a high school thing, and then it was it was that and computers really grabbed me. So I did both for a long time.
Yeah. As you mentioned, it's very interesting how hearing all the different like how early people start their voice acting or the passion.
Mhm.
Because I am personally going to college at the moment for animation,
Oh,
which is
cool.
something I've wanted to do since I was 4 years old. So many of my viewers know this, but I hope to make my own cartoon someday. So
Nice. Nice. That's a good that's a good goal. It always was, art and logic was always at odds inside my head, so I just picked the one that would make me money to start with, but, you know, you gotta at some point, you gotta commit, go for your dream.
yeah, that's always the piece of advice I live by. Okay, next question. What are some of the other voice acting or like, voiceover roles you have done in the past besides Bendy?
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch the whole question.
Oh, you're good. I was gonna say, what what are some of the other voice acting roles besides Bendy you've done?
Oh, okay. Let's see. The ones that are probably the most famous are I'm the Skeleton King in Diablo 3. And I've been several bosses in World of Warcraft. I was Lex Luthor in the Mortal Kombat crossover with DC. That
Oh,
was
cool.
fun. Yeah. And then I've also been in a bunch of anime productions, which I know there's probably a big anime crossover with Bendy. So Bleach, Durarara, Doraemon was I did a lot of stuff in all those, and then I was also in Japanese JRPG called
Cool.
Tales of Vesperia,
Okay.
where I was Raven in that. So that
Nice.
yeah, that was pretty popular too. I actually one of my favorite roles because that one was one role where I actually got to use this voice because normally it doesn't sound anything like me.
Another question when they ask relating to that is, I remember you mentioned before, like on the Bendy Love Stream, for example, you were a yodeling pickle at one point. You want to go into detail about that?
um, I entered a yodeling contest on the internet, and the prize was okay. There were two prizes. One was they took the yodel and they put it into a series of toys. One of which is a yodeling pickle. It's a pickle about this big. You press it, it yodels, and that took off. I mean, it's been yeah, Weird Al posted about it on Twitter. Um, it's been on Good Morning America. George Takei reviewed it at one point.
Nice.
So I was really surprised by that. But the payment for that was 100 rubber chickens. So naturally, my wife said, "You have to get rid of these." So I started signing them and leaving them at studios. So people have called me and said, "We found your chicken. Do you want to come in and do some stuff?" So that was a different venue. And then recent news: the same company hired me for actual dollars of pay this time, and now there's a new product that's a it's called Opera Corn.
Cool.
It's it's a 6-inch ear of corn that you press it, and it sings 5 or 6 different opera things, which I liberally stole from Bugs Bunny, so
That's the second time Bugs Bunny's came up in the series of interviews. The other time was with Dave Rebus.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
a lot of us got inspired by the whole Looney Tunes early animation stuff.
Legions is great. Leading into that question is favorite cartoon character, your favorite cartoon character and why, and your favorite video game character and why. Because Bendy's a video game and it's a cartoon kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I probably associate most with Bugs Bunny just because he's such a wisecracking guy. Favorite video game character? Uh I think it's probably, like, one of the ones I've been because strangely, I don't play a lot of video games,
oh okay.
yeah, the ones that I play, I usually end up dying really quick, and I go, "Is this the point? Am I supposed to just keep ending up in the graveyard and getting respawned?" So, I'd say that the favorite one I've been is probably, uh, Diablo 3, the Skeleton King, just because he's very, as a character, he's very deep, like, he
Yeah,
goes slowly insane and, he kills his wife, and then he's undead the rest of the time, so,
yeah. That is a deep character.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
um, moving on to the next question. Do you have any hobbies outside of voice acting, or just voiceover? I guess you can say.
Yeah, well, like I say, I used to do computers, that was more of a career than a hobby. I recently started learning how to play piano,
Ooh.
which is a completely new skill for me. I tried several times to learn how to play something. I had a guitar at one point, that didn't stick.
Mhm.
I've been singing for years because I did musical, theater, And on the side, I guess this is a hobby, I do, parody songs, kind of in a Weird Al sorta style,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
I'll have to listen to some of those after the thing because I love parody songs. They're great.
There's, there's a my latest one's a little bit risque. There a lot of them are over at, The Fump, THEFUMP.com, that's the Funny Music Project. And then, other ones have been played on Dr. Demento, which is, I'm like, "Hey, I've been played on the same thing that Weird Al's been played on," so and then of course, I like some better than others. The last one was just kind of this gratuitous thing that I thought was funny, but sometimes I'm a bit more clever, or I think I am at least.
All right. Next question is how we're trying to get into the Bendy questions now. How does it feel to be a part of the Bendy series and fandom? You were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but can you go into detail?
Yeah, I really I think the people who were attracted to Bendy at the beginning, when when it was coming out in chapters, I think the Meatley, the guy who produced it, put out the first chapter and he was like, "I don't know who's gonna like this." And the style and the way it pulls you into the game, I think that really attracted a lot of people, a lot of loyal fans. And I mean, they've been great. All the feedback we get and the little jam sessions that Audrey has set up, and it's just been amazing. And then, of course, the characters are really interesting too. Each one seems to have kind of a really dark side, but some redeemable qualities, which makes for good storylines.
As for the thing you mentioned about be, the Meatley being a Bendy fan, not oh my god, mixing stuff up here. My thoughts in my head are all intertwining. um, but as you said, like when the Meatley like first made Bendy and like he gained a big fan base because of it. I was there pretty much from the start, which I'm very happy I was. I was there since I think it was right before Chapter 2 came out, so
Ah,
like a month before that came out. So that's cool.
yeah, I
So I
came
did,
in somewhere along the development cycle. I think I came in right around chapter 2 because they were working on, uh, Bertram,
oh
and then the lag you'd be surprised at the lag time on some of these video games, like, if we go back to the Skeleton King, I did that, like, 4 years before the game came out, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it to anybody.
yeah,
And I'm like, "It's so cool, and I can't tell you anything."
that's gonna be my biggest like worry. Not worry, but like my biggest like thing I had to overcome with like my personal projects, like not being able to tell anyone about them. Like, oh, I want to tell you, but I can't.
Not till it's done.
Yeah, not till it's done.
Yeah.
And then next question is how did you get the role or land the role, excuse me, of Bertram and eventually Angus Newman in Dark Revival? Was it difficult?
Um, it was the first one, Bertram was just like a open audition. I think that came through either a casting director or through my agent. I think that was through a casting director, somebody who knew me and said, he could probably do this. And when I read the role, sometimes you read the script and for me, the voice kind of just appears in my head, "Oh, it's this guy." And so I did that, and about, a third of the time I'm right, and the other 2 thirds, I never hear from the place again, that's the thing. I think you probably have the same thing, you get an idea for a cartoon, and the character design and pieces of their personality just start populating your head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I relate to that heavily.
Yeah, so for Bertram, it was pretty straightforward. He's kind of a gruff, Britishy sort of guy, maybe even transatlantic. It's kinda hard to place where
Yeah,
he's from, but yeah.
still, I love your role. I love your voice you did for Bertram. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's got a touch of, Patrick Stewart and a little bit of Gravel, and it's like a mixed bag.
Yeah, someone you wouldn't want to talk to on a Monday morning.
Yeah, he seems pretty intense. It's not like me at all. I try to be laid back, but he's like, "Eh."
Next question is actually let me skip that. Actually, that one you kind of already answered. What was your first? Actually, I'll ask you just in case because I'm not sure if it was like how I worded it.
Uh-huh.
Um, what was your first impressions of the Bendy series?
Oh, I love the style, and the feel of it. Um, as I grew up on, like I said, Looney Tunes stuff, but then predating that was some of the early animation where it was, cell frame or repetitive stuff. And, it's just such a I think games like Cuphead took advantage of that
Yeah.
style, but then this went to a nice, like, darker it's weird. It's a calm game a lot of the time when you're just
Mhm.
wandering around until something happens, and then it's like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Um, which is part of the draw because you 'cause you're like, "Oh, I could probably walk around this place for a while and explore until something horrible comes out to meet me."
Yeah. I that's an interesting take about like how like the studio is like, cause like the world the game takes place in.
Yeah.
I never thought of it as like soothing until you mentioned it, cause you're right about that. But
Yeah, it's
like,
kinda dimly lit, darker environment, it's if you sat down, you'd be like, "I could read a book here." Unless something happens.
yeah. Uh, Next question is I'm gonna skip those two. Let's
Mhm.
see. Oh, okay. We're down to the last five questions.
Okay.
So do you think you could survive living in the cycle, which is what the game takes place in?
No. Absolutely not. I I would probably you'd probably find me, like, hiding under a desk, or I'd be, soaked in ink somewhere. I'd probably end up as one of the lost ones instead. That's where I gravitate towards.
And the next question's kind of building off of that one.
Mhm.
If you could take one item with you into the cycle, like to defend yourself, like food, a weapon, what would you bring?
Ooh, that's a good question. Uh, Gosh, with the way that world is so wonky, I'd probably bring something like a bucket of paint or a paintbrush or something related to animation just to see if I could alter the world with it. Uh, just a thought.
Yeah, it reminds you of what Lauren said, kind of, because she said the opposite kind of what you said. Instead of bringing paint, she said paint thinner.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Yeah, that's smart.
It
That is smart. Yeah.
was either Lauren or I think Sean or Lauren. I don't remember which one said that, but I think it was Lauren. I'm almost positive it was Lauren. But next question is what's it called? If you could bring one item with you out from the cycle into the real world, what would you bring? Like a character, a big bacon soup can. Like what would you bring?
Um,
It'd be Magic Escape.
yeah, yeah. I would probably take that thing. I'd just put it in the backyard somewhere. Have the neighbors stare at it and go, "What the hell is that? It looks like a carnival ride, but it's broken."
Last two questions. You ready? You ready, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. Personal. What are your personal hopes for the Bendy or the future of Bendy as a franchise?
I'd like to see more games, but I'd like to see a feature length movie or a series come out of it. I think there's enough interesting stories and storylines that you could take it and write something that's not the current story, but is related to the current story.
Yeah.
Maybe take a existing character and spin their backstory or something and do that. I think there's enough interest for it. It's just a matter of convincing some studio that there is.
Yeah, funny you mentioned a movie because they're making there is they not they announced a Christmas Day on in 2023 they are developing a Bendy movie. So
Yeah, I heard they were
yeah, I'm
working on
excited
one,
about that.
but, I again, it's really hard, since I'm in, LA part of the time. I hear all these horror stories about somebody developing some concept and it gets shelved, or,
Yeah.
they can't find funding or any number of other things. But if they call, I'm ready.
Hoping we can get like some game representation. Like get Joe in the movie, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Let's not cast Christopher Walken for it. I'll just come in and do that instead.
And then the last question. You ready? What can you give any tips or advice to people who want to get into voice acting?
Ooh, absolutely. Go with the basics of acting because it's really acting that's most important. So I always say, study like stage acting if you can do some community theater, something like that. Doesn't necessarily cost anything. Singing is good because it teaches you how to use your instrument. And then the third thing I usually recommend is improv comedy because it keeps you thinking on your feet. I can't tell you the number of sessions I've done where you're doing something and they go, "Can you give us something different or something like this?" And you just have to think on your feet. And sometimes they even throw whole new characters at you. Like I'll come in to do one character and they'll say, "Well, we have these other two. What would you do with those?" So I think those three pieces, because a lot of times people think, "Oh, it's the voice," but it's really the character that's
Mhm.
important. So if you have some solid characters and start building them, and of course, there's for me, there's all these two schools. There's people who just use their own voice for all the characters, and each character is really deep and interesting. And there's other people who are kind of like vocal chameleons. If
Mhm.
you are that, embrace it. If you're not, then just go deeper on you and find out where the true you is and go into that.
That's a great way to end off the interview. Thank you so much, Joe, and thanks to everyone watching. Subscribe and like if you watched or if you liked the video. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Bye.
The end.